Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today we just got an announcement for the new Master Duel Forbidden list. It was pretty surprising, in a very weird way, something I definitely didn't expect. But I guess I'll give you guys a rundown of what I'm thinking now as we have the announcement. Fortunately, I cannot look at it live because I woke up and it was just pretty much in all my messengers. So won't have that for you this time, but for future ones, I will make sure to. Anyways, please make sure to subscribe, leave a comment down below what you guys think, and also leave a like, please. And I will hop into the video. Okay, so the upcoming Forbidden List update. This is going to go into effect April 30th, and I'm not too in tune with how the Forbidden Lists have been working here in Master Duel, but it seems like it's monthly-ish. But this would mean that this is the list in effect for the Worlds qualifiers, which are going to be happening end of May. Which is very interesting because that would pretty much solidify what we have here as what to expect. Unless there's a new set released in between, but I'm currently not sure if there is anything. So the Forbidden List update, cards be forbidden instant fusion. So this is something I've been begging for in the TCG for a while, and like this is one of the few things I think Master Duel is getting right with this change. This card is toxic, and it's not just in reference to Kalos. Summoning cards like Millennium Ice Restricts, cards like Thousand Ice Restrict even is like pretty strong. Summoning tuners, non-tuners, any level, any type you need, any attribute you need. It's just one of the most flexible extenders in the game, and then has further upsides beyond just being an extender. And are for sure more than just Kalos that have crazy effects on wall. So like what's it called? Predaplant Ambuloides. There's just so many good cards you can summon with instant fusion that are like way too insane. This card is just very upset. Like think about it yourself. When you're playing YuGiOh and your opponent activates instant fusion, you like roll your eyes of it, and that's for good reason. This is definitely more powerful than the rest of your cards in your deck, so I think it's good to have that's forbidden here. However, I think the good changes pretty much stop there. This list is wacky, very, very wacky. So yeah, what does this mean for tier elements? Will this hit the deck hard? No. Instant Fusion is not a defining card in the deck. You can't search it anyways, and if you were relying on Instant Fusion for your games, you were doing something wrong anyways. You'd only win maybe like every 20% of games max. So obviously that's not what we're doing. What do we place instead is a curious question now, because putting another utility card in its place means you're lowering consistency of your deck, and with the hits that were already in place from the previous ban list, I'd rather not lower consistency more. I'm not sure what I'd want to put it as. Or replace it with maybe a reinforcements to the army for another Rhino Heart. Maybe Super Poly as kind of the middle ground between engine and combo piece, and a utility card, because it can kind of act as both and sometimes get you started when the rest of your hand does nothing. But I'm not sure. You don't have to make too many changes though with just this hit. All right, so moving on to the limited section. I'm sorry. I just can't believe this. I've been mocking these cards for like 2 weeks now, and they're just limited. And like this makes me look stupid because people are going to cite this as like a reason that I was wrong. Because they're going to say, oh, Jesse was so stupid. He said King of the Swamp sucks and Foolish Rail of Goods wasn't that good. And now they got limited. They clearly must have been very strong. I mean, it's so dumb. But yeah, these cards sucked. It's like they didn't need to be hit. Okay, Foolish Rail of Goods didn't fully suck. I didn't like it if you were playing no Rainbow Bridge, but even then with Rainbow Bridge I only liked it if you were in first, so I felt it was a bit too risky to play in the main deck. So it's very funny to see that these cards are limited. I mean, I've given so many explanations at this point that King of the Swamp sucks. If you don't believe me, then I don't know if I can even get to you at this point. Just try to be more critical, I guess. What does this change for my deck? Well, nothing. My deck list, like what I'd advise you guys to play, changes 0 with these changes. It's just incredibly weird to me that this is a thing that exists, but I mean, I guess. Something to like look at this though is maybe Master Duel is just really looking at representation above anything else. So if everyone was playing King of the Swamp for Foolish Rail of Goods based on the advice of other YouTubers and streamers, or even just looking at the OCG format for some reason, and therefore was the most popular non-tier or Shizu cards that are being played, and that's why they got hit, which I'd have to assume that's the reason these cards got hit. Like in terms of representation, this is what was highly represented that wasn't directly part of those engines, which I guess is a kind of good thing for Master Duel, but at the same time I feel like that approach can often leave things missed, because sometimes the most popular isn't always the actual strongest, and this is a very clear example of the case. But it would be more worrisome if you have that representation issue with decks rather than specific cards. So if like the best deck isn't the most popular, and then it's not hit as a result. So like if we look forward to a couple months if Kashtira comes out, people won't play the deck because they don't like it. Then it's not fun to play. But the deck is toxic and should get hit. So maybe something just to be careful of in the future. I'm hoping that Konami isn't going to be too stats oriented for representation. Anyways, yeah, so don't play these cards still. Like now more than anything, one Poly and one King of the Swamp sounds abysmal. Please leave it out of your deck. Yes. Okay. So let's move on to semi-limits. Change of Heart. This is a cool one. I actually don't hate this one. A lot of people are like, oh, why this is so funny? Why does it matter? Change of Heart is a good card. Mind Control was at 3 and had to go back to 1 in the TCG for a very good reason. It was very good in grind games and mid-range matchups, which sometimes can even happen in like the tier mirror where like taking control is extremely good, and that's where like something like Talents comes up a lot. Talents is way more versatile and good going first as well, which is why you'd still play Talents over anything like Change of Heart. However, it's worth noting that if you want to build a break board type approach to elements, taking control of the monsters is some of the best way to do it because it turns off Sullux and Crimes, as well as the monster negates that they're actually representing. So Change of Heart is better than Mind Control because obviously you can attack with the monster as well, and that makes a huge difference. Lets you break the field way easier with a single card. So obviously Change of Heart at 2 is very strong. And I think Mind Control is at 1 in Master Duel as well. So curious they went with this one first over Mind Control, but I guess they wanted to push an easier way to break fields, which I'm okay with. Promoting going second is helpful because otherwise there's too much of a priority on going first. Obviously, that's not good for any game building. But yeah, I'm curious if maybe TCG will follow suit if they see this isn't that big of a problem. I don't know if it will be, but it is format dependent. These type of tech cards do go in and out of being useful. So like we saw Mind Control was at 3 for quite some time before the Salomon Great Orcus started popping up a lot. That's when that card got like really good. So I think this may have a very similar effect where it's not always going to be impactful, but when it is, it'll be extremely strong. Curious to see how this impacts the rest of Yu-Gi-Oh! And cards coming off the list, we got Kagari, Dragonhawk, Tenki, and Darkworm. I don't know how much I'm going to really talk about these. Kagari at 3, no, it does not make Striker playable. I'm sorry. Striker has a lot of issues. Its speed, for one, is something that was an issue, I think, years ago, but people never really dealt with. They kind of just hoped that they could barely keep by versus like a faster deck that was played well. And oftentimes it couldn't. I mean, that's going to be a biased perspective as a Thunder Dragon player, but I felt like Striker was always kind of a little slow. And now with the power creep of the last 4 years, even more so. So I think you rely a lot on the non-engine cards to get there with Sky Striker. And unless that changes to be very well suited to the meta, Striker's not going anywhere. So yeah, I mean, it gets a little better as a rogue deck, I guess, but I wouldn't focus too much on Kagari. As for Hawk, I don't know if I'd even have played 2 when it went to 2. It is a very searchable card, so the change of searchable cards, makes very little difference. This shouldn't be a surprise. Tenki to 3 makes new Beast Warrior support and old Beast Warrior support better. I mean, this is good for consistency of decks, and I like this. I don't like hitting consistency of decks. I'd rather hit either the resource game or their end fields. I don't like the approach of the tier where everything's at 2 because now it feels like the deck is still as powerful, just now bricks slightly more. So now you just feel like crap when you brick because you missed the one Sharon. And then for Supreme King Darkworm, I'm very confused. I mean, I don't even know why this card was hit in the first place, because like when you're playing this card, you want it in the grave. So you'll play with stuff like Fuller, stuff like Dragon Shrine, Dragon Ravine, at which point you can play one Darkworm and just as many of those as you want. You can play up to like 8, probably even more with like Act with Remus, and like that would get the better effect of Darkworm anyways. So I don't get why it had to be limited, but yeah, it's back at 3, I guess, which is good, but I don't think you'd ever play more. I guess the only time it's better is that you can draw it and then activate like a discard card from hand, like Pendulum Call. That gets you like the insane value, but I don't think this is very important. Anyways, that's the balance. This pretty much cements that we should still be in the tier 0 format for the World's Qualifier for Master Duel, which is enticing for me because I'm really tempted to try qualify for Master Duel Worlds this year, especially if it's just going to be tiers. But I'm not looking forward to the massive grind that it would involve. So let me know what you guys think I should do, because I have no idea myself. And the deck for itself really doesn't change much. The only thing that changes is the instant fusion. And from that, I would try find something that's engine piece, so you don't just put more utility in. Maybe Super Poly is something to consider as well. Something that I haven't done fully. Also on the topic of Super Poly, I do think that something I overlooked a bit in the past was in this format, we're not dealing with Bestials as much. So if you Super Poly them, they're not dealing with the Bestials coming from the hand to be disruptions. So the Poly may do a bit more. I think that is it for now. I hope you guys found this an in-depth and informative balance review, despite it being relatively small and not much happening. I could convey as much of my thoughts as possible, and I will try to do more and more Master Duel videos in the future, as specifically right now I am enjoying this meta for, very obvious reasons, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.